The acquisition of power. Now, before we even get into it, you need to understand the definition and what defines power. Now, power is the control to control outcomes, to control the sequencing of events. And so when we look at claiming power for our own, when we look at becoming powerful, it simply is the acquisition of becoming the individual to be able to wield and control circumstance and outcomes to your will. To have a will so strong that you control the outcome to where that will is going to be channeled. So you have to understand that every time you discipline your mind to say and follow through on what you said you were going to do, you gain power. You have to understand that every time you say something and you break your word, you lose power. And so to gain power is to simply follow through with the outcome and the sequencing that is a byproduct of attaining that outcome. And so when we look at becoming powerful as an individual, you have to understand that power itself has no emotion attached to it. What you attach to power, is a reflection of your own emotional state and, your positioning in the hierarchy of having power for yourself. And so if you're a powerless individual, well, then power is going to seem like an evil thing to you, but it's simply because you are powerless and you truly desperately want power, but since you have none, you hate it. Just like poor people hate rich people, you have to understand that because you lack something doesn't mean you have to hate it. If you lack something, that means you have to go out into the world and attain it. So in a world where everyone hates what they don't have, be the individual to go out and attain instead of proclaim and yell from the rooftops about how much you hate this specific subjective thing, which is directly reflecting who the fuck you are and your relationship status cohering to what the fuck, you're hating on. And so understand that to be powerful as the individual is to not be evil or good. There is no emotional state attached to the power you wield. The power that you have within you and the power that you claim for yourself by controlling outcomes in a positive or negative way. To be powerful it has no emotion, it has no energy, it has no negative or positive attached to it. It simply is power to be able to control and sequence events to your will. And so when you wield power, you now as the individual have control to either control it in a positive or negative direction. If you are a mother or a father and you have control over a child, you control that child. Just because you have power over that child doesn't mean that you are a negative or positive parent, but what you do with that power what you do with that power is also reflecting who you are as an individual. To channel that power into something positive is to be good. To channel that into something negative is to be negative. So detach any emotional attachment that you have to the word power and detach from whatever you've projected, which is a reflection of who you are within, onto the word power. Because power is simply a means of controlling and sequencing events to your will. And that can be positive or negative. And if you attach, a emotional state to how you feel onto power, it's really a reflection of who you are as an individual, and the power that you have within yourself, is going to be reflected on how you think power is. So if you are powerless, well, power is going to be a negative thing because that's what you do not wield. And so understand, to become powerful is to simply control and to sequence events to your will. And so a lot of people think that power is to dominate and to conquer. And that is, of course, power as well, because to control and to conquer and to dominate is to actively control something to your will, to bend something to your will. But to be powerful is also to let go, to detach, to not express what you truly want to express, to hold information, to withhold the rage within you, and to harness that power and channel it and direct it into something else, to hold the ferocious aggressiveness that God has bestowed upon you to channel into your goals, and to withhold that and to channel that into the right things. And so to be powerful is to simply control yourself at the highest fucking level with zero excuses whatsoever. Everyone has an excuse when they emotionally act up. Oh, he did this. Oh, she did this. Then you are rendering yourself powerless, and understand that you are a slave to whoever controlled your emotions to be controlled emotionally is to be a slave to someone else's will, because you are being controlled by someone else. So remember that power is in the control, and the more you control, the more power you have. And self-mastery is the only success, and self-mastery is the only power. When you can master yourself at the highest level, you can master endeavors that you willfully want to will, into your existence or put your time and energy into. And so when you get to high levels of power, you can simply walk away from something with zero damage whatsoever mentally. A lot of people believe that they have to assert their dominance. A lot of people believe they have to assert who they are, and a lot of people believe they have to assert that people need to respect them. But to seek others to validate your perception of yourself, to seek for someone else to validate you for what you think you are, is to not be what you think you are, because you need someone to approve of that. And if that individual doesn't approve of that, you are now a slave to them emotionally, because you believe that that's what you were. And since someone disproved of what you were, now your emotional state is all fucked up, because that's what you never were. You needed someone else to approve it for you. Therefore, you were not, because the power wasn't within your hands. It was in the individual's hands who had to approve you. And so this is where you have to think diligently on how you carry yourself in life. Are you seeking for others to validate you and to validate the way you perceive yourself? Are you seeking for others to, put energy into what you believe your self-image is? Because to do that is to not be what you seem to project. Because to project something externally and to have others have to validate that is to disprove of yourself internally, and to need and to seek the approval of others around you. And therefore you lack the power within yourself, therefore being rendered powerless, because you need something on the outside to approve of what you are internally. And so when you seek to assert your dominance or to assert your respect onto other people to seem and appear as something you are not, remember that you are powerless in fact, because you are seeking for someone else to approve of what you perceive yourself to be. Therefore you are not, because the power is within the person who has to approve of what you try and appear to be. And so therefore you are not what you appear to be. And this is why you need to have an unshakable mind, and you have to have your own self-image, and you have to construct that through your conduct, and you have to approve yourself through your conduct internally. And you are the only approval, and no one can disprove or approve you. No one can disrespect you or respect you, because you are your self-respect. And every single day you wake up and you put your energy into that habits that assert that self-respect to yourself. Therefore not needing to attach to validation to validate who you are, because you validated yourself and the power is within you. And therefore no one can take the power from you if they disapprove nor approve of who you are. And so when you get to that level, you no longer seek the external validation, because you are the validation. And this is the level that we need to be operating on in a world full of people who seek others' approval to approve who they are, when they disprove of themselves, therefore seeking others to approve for them, when all you all had to do was prove yourself who you are through your conduct, through the habits that we assigned to you once you join that self-development community. And so understand that if your self-image is rooted in anything external, you will be moved, you will be shaken, and you will be controlled by things outside of yourself. But the moment you can ground and approve yourself from within, and to hold yourself accountable, and to prove who you are through your conduct, and to have an unshakable mind, and to have power and wield it to your will by controlling outcomes to your will in a positive manner. Because to be a negative individual is to be, taking from the world, to be a waste of space on the fucking planet, hands down. To be negative and then to go out into the world and project this fucking energy like everyone's not fucking suffering, well, understand that you are a bitch, and you are definitely not what you appear to be. The only respect is internal cultivation of power. So empower yourself to not be a bitch. Peace!